Did you know that this tool right here completely broke the internet a couple years ago when they announced the very first AI coding tool?
And today I'm really excited to introduce you to Devin, the first AI software engineer.
Well, my friends, they have been quietly building one of the most impressive platforms that I've seen so far. And to showcase some of the power in this video, I'm going to be coming up with an idea, validating it, building it out with this platform, and at the end, I'll be teaching you a couple of proven frameworks to make your app profitable. So stick around. But before we jump into the tool itself, let's talk about what we're actually going to be building today. Well, over the past 5 years, I've trained more than 600 entrepreneurs and helped them build and launch their startups. And there's one core problem that I see happens over and over again that causes 90% of startups to fail. And that, my friends, is that most founders skip the validation phase. And I get it, validation is a lot less exciting than actually building something and bringing it to market. But there's already a goldmine of information out on the internet that can help us validate and or fine-tune our idea to make sure that we increase our chances of succeeding. So that's it. I present to you Validation X. Name is probably already taken, but that's beside the point. It's a platform where you could simply write in your startup idea, and then it will go ahead and pull in some data that either validates or contradicts your assumptions behind your startup. But most importantly, based on that data, it can make recommendations on how to improve it and to increase your chances of success. So that's what we're going to be building, but now let's talk about the tool we're going to be using to do this. This, my friends, is Devin. Wait, no, this is not the right Devin. This, my friends, is Devin, and it's probably one of the most advanced AI software engineers that you've ever met. And it might not be as good at basketball, but what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind. Because Devin's not only the first AI coding platform, it's also one that's taken a very different approach than some of the other ones that you know. Let me explain. You see, Devins are actually fully autonomous agents that each can have a role, and you can also run several Devins in parallel. So I guess in that way, Devins are kind of like minions. But don't worry, they're actually a lot better at doing their jobs than actual minions. You see, here they talk about being able to do all the research, all the planning, and basically start opening up questions before it even starts building anything. And so you can use Devin not just to build out software, but also to migrate or refactor your code. You could do data engineering and analysis tasks. And then there's the wiki, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's pretty impressive. And before you all ask about pricing, here it is. You can basically get started for 20 bucks a month, and then there is a Teams plan for $500 a month. But let's jump in, because with this 20 buck a month plan, you can actually do a huge number of things. So I'm actually gonna jump in right now, and we're gonna start building. Now, once I've logged in, it's gonna look something like this, and I can create a Devin, right? And I can run a Devin. So it actually starts off by me connecting my GitHub account, which is where, basically your file is gonna live with all the code bases that you have. And so the first agent I'm gonna use is actually gonna be to plan this app out, right? So I actually click here, and here you have agent, but you also have deep agent. So I'm actually gonna switch to deep agent over here, and I'm gonna ask it to do a bunch of research that I would need to really come up with the best plan to actually build out this product. Okay, so here I'm gonna start off with, you're a startup strategist with 15 years experience. You're now going to research the best methodologies and resources to create a plan to build an AI software tool that allows startup founders to write a short description of their startup, and the platform will break the idea down into key hypotheses, perform a search to find validation points or contradictions. And then I said to add some recommendations to increase the likelihood of getting paid customers, right? And then I say start with a PRD, product requirement document, which basically outlines what we need, and ask me any questions you need, also letting it know that we would build the platform afterwards. So I'm gonna start with that. Let's just go ahead and get that cooking. So you just click on go, and it's gonna go out there and it's gonna start doing some deep research. So the first thing it does here is to rewrite the plan, and then it's actually gonna start navigating. It's gonna search for information about startup validation frameworks, lean startup methodologies. So you see, it's doing the work that you might do prior to going to an AI coding tool, which is to do research and really create a prompt to be able to then start building. But because this thing is gonna continue cooking, I wanna show you that you can actually do a handful of things in parallel, which is one of the things I love about Devin. So here, for example, new session. Okay, so now I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna grab one of my other repos, which is also connected here, testimonial Spark, here we go. I'm gonna change this to normal agent, and here I'm gonna just say, could you refactor and debug this app? I'll go ahead and start it off. And as you can see, it's already creating a second one. And here, for the next step, we still have a little bit to wait, which is awesome. This one's gonna kick it off. And so now this Devin over here, we can see that it is actually working and it's starting to scan the code base. It's searching for it. It's saying there is some opportunity to refactor, which is awesome. And then it's like, it's cloned the project. And we could also set up the repo in Devin's workspace for future sessions as well. Check it out. It's just doing this all in parallel. Let's go back to the main tool now. So now we see it's done a number of different things. It's completed the research, and let's see what it has created. This is pretty awesome here. It's basically like already broken it down, and it's realized it wants to go to Reddit, Hacker News, industry forums, blogs, patents, social media, all the right things. Questions for next phase planning, which is exactly what I asked it. Initially, individual founders, accelerators, or enterprise innovation. So now we're gonna answer all the questions that I asked for it to ask me so that we could actually set it up properly. 1, individual founders. Excellent. 2, use what you think will be the simplest to get good results. 3, which platforms do you want to prioritize? I'll just say Reddit and Hacker News. 4, what business model? Freemium. Basically a subscription, but you can get some free. 5 is MVP scope. Should we start specific industry vertical or keep it general? I'll keep it general, but usually I like to focus in on a niche. What's your budget timeline? MVP here in less than 1 hour. Let's go ahead and do that. So I've answered now the questions and it's gonna take to the next step. And now it's like, perfect, I'll build the MVP in under 1 hour, targeting individual founders with Reddit, Hacker News, research, and freemium model. Starting development now with fast API backend, React frontend for the simplest effective solution. So cool. Now, another thing that's pretty cool is here at the top, you can actually go in and check out browser. So this is what it's actually doing right now in real time. And you can go back and see what it started with. So here it's in Google. Over here, it's like doing some research on the lean startup methodology. It's actually doing all this stuff similarly to what you would see in some other platforms like Devin, similarly to what you would see in other platforms like Manus, right? It's actually going out and doing all this stuff like an AI agent, which is so cool. And you can see everything it's actually going through to make sure that it is doing all the right steps for you. And here it has a first version of it. This is gonna be pretty cool to see this actually in action. I'll bring it back to the front. You can also have access to the code and to the shell if you'd like to. So you can kind of see the commands and all that. And here is pretty much the progress, right? So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's saying that it is starting to create it in localhost. But what does that mean? It basically means that it's gonna host it inside of my browser. So it's not connected to a database, but it will be able to act. I'm gonna come back to the refactoring here, and it's going to let us know that it has a plan overview. I will proceed with executing the plan. Excellent. So it's basically identified a couple places where this code base could be better, and it's already starting to take action on that. The form card, I love it. Look, it's figured out all these different things. And now, hey, let's make this interesting. Why would we stop at 2? We can have so many different Devins doing different tasks. So let's just do all of these in parallel. And the cool thing is that it's actually not gonna slow down any one of the individual given tasks. So I'll take advantage of this to just take a moment and come here into Deep Wiki. So what does Deep Wiki mean? It basically means that if you connect one of your repos, it's going to do a little analysis. So let's just do the exact same one, add to machine. And we're going to set this up because we see that these 2 other ones are taking place, which is great. I'm ready. We're gonna follow these instructions here. And then great, this first phase, you just basically follow the instructions inside. And I'm not gonna bore you with all of this. Let's just go ahead and skip, verify, all these different things. Update, excellent. Because I really wanna show you what the result of going through these steps are. Okay, so once I've connected the repo over here, I can go and click on it, and it is pretty insane what it's actually showing me over here. The application architecture, fully built out, including diagrams. It's really, really cool. The route pattern as well, it kind of breaks it all down. Route components. This is something that's called documentation when you're building in code so people can see what and how you've done things. This actually takes so much time to do, and it's all just being done here. You see form builder system, including everything, testimonial collection, component structure. It's absolutely insane. The management dashboard as well that we have inside this project. So data layer, UI components, development setup. It's just, this is nuts. And so it's also just a great way to document in just a couple of moments apps that you've built out. Now, if we come back here, we're gonna go back into this MVP builder over here. MVP for Starter Validator AI is complete and functional. Excellent. Let's go ahead and check it out. So then it says, would you like to expose this with a public URL? Yes. Please show me the product. And so this is basically going to create a URL upon which we're going to be able to access this app. And we're going to test it out. So it asks me approve deployment. Let's approve the deployment. Let me deploy the backend first. No problem, let's do it. Okay, so it's now created it. Let's go and check out the front end. Come in here, excellent. A mobile app to scan my food and tell me how many calories are in it. Let's go ahead and validate. Okay, so here it's provided me with a score, excellent. Then it's found a certain hypotheses to test. Market research findings. You can click on any one of these and view the source as well. Love it. Now it seems like it hasn't brought in the proper ones. Big list of must-play mobile games. So this might not be the right analysis here. And then at the bottom, the recommendation. So perfect. Now we can come back and we can basically say, it seems like it's not necessarily researching that specific idea, but the rest pretty much works. And it's looking into the search logic right now to figure out how to fix the issue. Okay, so because I want to improve the search capabilities of this, I'm actually just going to provide it with some recommendations and tell it, hey, maybe you want to build it this way, right? Because one of the tools that I love is called Perplexity, and it's a tool that's actually really good at doing the research, but here it has to combine the inputs with that search tool to be able to find correct results and then grab those results and analyze them. So still a lot to do, but I'm basically going to recommend that it uses this tool, and I can even connect it via API. So the first thing I'll do is jump inside the interface and tell it that, and then I'm gonna go and set up an API key. Okay, I'd like to connect Perplexity API to do the research so we have real information in the app. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And in parallel, after closing a couple of these tabs, I'm gonna open up Perplexity and set this up. This is Sonar by Perplexity. It is their API. I'm basically going to go ahead and get started. So here, if you go inside the documentation, you're gonna find everything you need to get set up. Ultimately, you basically have to sign up, you have to pay for an API, then it's gonna give you a key, and we're gonna use that key to then connect it to our build. So here it's asking me to set it up. We are No Code's API organization, description, and I'm just gonna call this the name of the project itself. And this I'm just gonna call build apps. Then I'm gonna go inside of API billing over here, and I'm gonna actually go here and pay. Here, I already have some credits. I have $38, so I'm not actually gonna buy more, but if not, you can buy more credits right here. And then you come down here and you click on API keys, and there you can create a new key. I'm not gonna show it to you because ultimately you'll have access to my key. That being said, and now I come back inside my project here and it is doing some stuff still. So I've copied my API key. I'm gonna be plugging it into this so I can actually use it. And boom, just like that, I've integrated Perplexity API into the validator. And now it basically asks me for my API key. So instead of dumping it in the chat, which is very insecure, you wanna open here, send secrets. And secrets are actual keys. And so here I can write Perplexity. And then I'm going to put the value inside here, and we're gonna go ahead and send it. Boom, close that out. If all goes well now, I'm gonna give it a little moment for it to connect to my API key. So if all goes well, what happens is that when someone puts in their startup idea, they click on go ahead and do that research, and then it sends off the information to Perplexity that does the search, and that then sends back the information about the results, and then it uses that to be able to populate the answer or populate the app itself. And now it's telling me I'm now viewing the current state of the browser to check if the validation results have loaded. And since we don't want to trust it, because you can never really trust AI, I'm gonna go in the browser and see what it's actually doing. Okay, sounds like it's actually doing that. Good. Let's close this now. Okay, perfect. Now it's saying Perplexity API integration is complete. Let me go and try this out. Okay, so it's finished cooking here, and now I'm gonna click on this. Normally we will have Perplexity. So let's test this out. A mobile app to snap pictures of your food and have it count calories for you. go ahead and validate. What I'm liking here is that it's taking a little bit more of time to actually think about it, which means that it probably is correctly pinging the API. And hopefully it's going to come back here with some actual articles that are either going to validate the startup idea or are going to provide some good counter arguments for which I'll be able to start analyzing whether or not it makes sense for me to invest more time and money. Perfect. So it's generated the result here and it says 51% validation score, which is actually good because I know that there's lots of other apps out there that do this. So it makes a lot of sense. There's sufficient demand, excellent. Competitive landscape allows for some differentiation, kind of telling you like, hey, you have to differentiate because there is competition. The technical solution is feasible, excellent. And now if we check here, there are actual articles that are talking about all of these. So there's basically like how to build a meal plan app for weight loss. So there's some information here that we can open up. We can click on the sources as well. So you probably want to read these articles to find points that either support or potentially contradict your actual hypotheses. Competitive landscape, let's see this. And there's basically the competitive landscape for startups focused on snap pictures of photo-related apps in 20 is rich with diverse existing solutions that cover niches such as photo editing, 3D photo creation. Yeah, so it's super interesting. It's really rich in information here. So you definitely want to go and check out all of these articles. And below, there are great recommendations. So moderate validation detected, excellent. Focus on validating key assumptions with potential customers. I love that. Consider narrowing down your target market. That makes a lot of sense. Create landing page. Yeah, and reach out to potential customers for feedback and interviews. Set up analytics tracking, validate your assumption. Very cool. So I think this was really great. And now let's go back because in parallel to this, we have been refactoring the app. So let's check out this refactoring of this completely separate app that I've asked for. It is ready and going. So I'm going to click on this and now I should have a full debug report, a refactoring report. So refactoring is basically where you clean up the code base to make it easier to use, and debugging is taking out the bugs. So here there's key improvements that it's fixed and that it found all the issues for. Review, testing checklist, recommended plan. Also shows a diagram of that. So just really, really cool. And I think that this is so valuable. And check it out, Devin AI engineer. So this is really like having an engineer in your pocket. And that kind of brings us back to the key point here. As you've seen from this video, Devin is such a great software engineer and it can do way more complex tasks than kind of vibe coding as they call it. So I would really use this for all of its deep capabilities. And they also have a linear integration, which is really cool. Linear is basically like a Trello, but for tech teams. So this is really cool. You would be able to, meaning that you can use agents to improve actual development process. In Slack, of course, you can actually just interact directly inside Slack with your Devin. So this is all in all really cool, but we're missing one key thing. Okay, Christian, we've built the product. Now, how do we make it profitable? Huge question I get all the time. Well, there are actually 3 methods that I would recommend for the early stages of getting customers. And figuring out that early stage is really going to help you figure out how to sell without you being in the room. So we're going to do some things that are relatively manual, and this is so that we can figure out exactly what we can scale with. Now, the first strategy, and this is something that we have to do for any one of these given strategies, is to build a landing page that targets the specific ideal customer you have in mind, or the ICP, and basically to sell the dream, sell the outcome of your solution on this page. Now, I've created a separate video that goes in depth on how to actually set up these landing pages, how to build them so they really target the needs and solutions to the pain points that these customers have. But ultimately, once we've built one of these out, what we want to do is to actually have people enter a email drip campaign, meaning that once we get their email address, we're going to be sending them high value emails over time that really are valuable. And at the end of that, we're going to have an offer. It allows you to build trust or nurture these customers and then to actually give them access to the tool. And a portion of the people who've signed up will actually become buyers. But Christian, how do I get traffic towards this landing page? Great question. That leaves us to the channels we're going to distribute on. So in Silicon Valley, what they teach you is to go and interact inside of niche communities, go talk on forums, go meet people manually, build a list of those people who might be interested. And that is actually a really good way of getting a little bit of attention. Now, another way that people use is to go on platforms like Product Hunt, where actually there's going to be a large number of people. This is specifically good for tech products that people are going to be looking out for. So if you launch on Product Hunt, you're going to be able to get some eyeballs towards your landing page. Remember, we're always directing people towards the landing page and hopefully getting some conversions from those visitors. Now, the second and probably my favorite way of getting early stage customers is cold outreach. That's right. It's been done time and time again. And there is one platform that's called Outbound that allows you to build a list of ideal prospects based on LinkedIn information. Then you can get all the information about those individuals. So you can basically find their verified email addresses, find their phone number. You can also do deep research around these individuals to find more personalized data points about them. Then you can do outreach either via email, by calling them, or LinkedIn. And at first you can do this manually, maybe for the first 100, but eventually you'll probably want to do it by thousands. And this is where sequencers come in. You basically send out these messages and then you have a unified inbox for all the responses. Now, a lot of you talk about ads, and of course you can run paid ads. And if you choose to do that, you just have to understand that the main goal for ads is to test big assumptions. Are you targeting the right people? Are you promising the right outcome on that landing page? Do you understand the problems that you're actually solving for? And for the most part, this traffic is gonna give you quick feedback, right? So if you run ads on Facebook targeting a very specific target market, the first thing to understand is, hey, how many people clicked and how many of the people who clicked actually signed up for the service? That can bring in some emails that then can get nurtured with the drip campaigns, and some of those might even buy. But remember that the sales process is an iterative process, meaning that we're capturing insight about the customer, about the things that make them want to buy, about the objections that make them not buy at all. And ultimately, once we fine-tuned our messaging and put all of those things inside of our message, we're gonna be able to sell this product on landing pages directly because you know exactly what to say. And that's when you can start investing more time into longer-term acquisition strategies, content marketing, SEO, social media, etc. And that, my friends, is how you build a profitable app. And if you want to start by building out your landing page, then I highly recommend you check out this video, because landing pages and mastering those is so important as a startup founder. The important thing is you take action. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe. Let's go.